Welcome to the Spiritual Sexual Shamanic Podcast, where we explore conscious relating, emergent culture, and transformative wisdom with ISTA faculty and experts from around the world. I'm your host, Caitlyn Cook. Aténougha, thank you so much for being on the show. We're really happy to have this conversation with you. And as we begin, I'd like to just introduce you. So, born in Gabon, Central Africa, Aténougha met the African Bwiti tradition many years ago after studying other spiritual paths, including Buddhism and Christianity. For many years, he has been a bridge, supporting people to learn the Bwiti Missoko tradition. He helps people get initiated with trusted and consecrated masters who practice precisely with the traditional protocol. Through this ancient science, Aténougha gives tools to change things inside and outside of you to create deep transformation. So yeah, delighted that you're here. Thank you. And I specifically wanted to talk to you about this because, so I've been living in Central Africa, and one of the principles here that I've really learned is accepting light and dark, that the world and life and people have both good and bad. And right now it's like the world feels a little bit crazy. There's a lot of things happening. There's wars, there's health crises, there's media crazy stuff happening, there's environmental troubles, and it's feeling kind of dark. It's feeling, I don't know, like there's a lot of bad stuff perhaps. And so how to not get overwhelmed by this, or how do we operate as spiritual people, or people trying to be mature and whole? How do we operate in a world like this without getting overwhelmed by all the crazy stuff?
Okay, so I'm happy to participate to your show and to talk to people who can listen this podcast. From the point of view, my point of view, the point of view of someone in Central Africa, someone who are initiated in Bwiti, Missoko, and in many other spirituality, is about the position.
Mm-hmm.
A spiritual person is someone who see the things through angle. The angle of a spiritual person depends of many things. We can call these things parameters. War. When you talk about war, crisis, world, politics, it's many different parameters. Of course, they are all related. Politics, war, life, communities, society, countries, all this kind of thing are related. The spiritual person for me, is someone who can see the things through the angle of view who is appropriate for the situation. War. When we talk about war, only this word, if you take this words of war, it's all the time in the universe, not only in this planet.
Not just what we see on this media, Instagram trend.
Exactly. War is everywhere. Through the angle of view of spiritual person, he can see war inside of him, in his family, in his relationship with friends, wife, or husband. All the time, there's a war somewhere. But there's a difference between war inside of you, war in your country, and war in your couple, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see that it's war. So war is all the time, not all the time everywhere, but I mean, war is in the process of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal. when you are a spiritual person, you have to understand war, it's normal. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. No, it's something natural in the universe.
It's part of life.
It's part of life. If you understand this kind of thing first, at the first position, you understand and you can accept different kinds, type, degrees of war.
Mm-hmm. So not to freak out, like, oh my God, there's a war happening in this country,
Exactly.
and how can this be happening? And
this is the position of a spiritual person from my angle of view. So, war, what we see now on TV, it's not, of course, the first time. Many uh, years ago, we have the World War.
mm-hmm.
It was, people say World War. From Africa, it's not World War.
That's true.
Yes, from Africa, it was war between friends or brothers and sisters.
Right.
I mean, Europe, a little bit USA, a little bit Asia,
Mm-hmm.
but Africa, no. But people say World War. Okay, why not? Now we have war in Congo,
Mm-hmm.
RDC. We have war in Central Africa, in Centrafrique,
Mm-hmm.
many years ago already. We have war everywhere. In Europe, we have war, and all this kind of conflict is related to the society, to the politics, to the management of people. So this is why war and politics is related. It depends how we organize the society. And from many, if you talk about many words like war, politics, and things like that, what I teach to people is about not how is possible. Yes, how is possible is a question. Why is another question. All the question is about position. So when you say why there's so many wars in the world, why now? How is possible? It's different question and it depends the point of view. So in this moment, there's many kind of conflict all around the world. And this is come from situation who start many years ago because everything got a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So the situation in Europe, Asia, Africa, or somewhere else is the result of many things what people did before. So it's related. When you understand, like, it's kind of process, because from a spiritual person, she knows that all is about process. So war, it's also like anything in the world, it's a process. It's not something come who come like that, who comes like that, no. Like by magic, no. And it's not understand just to say, oh, I understand the war in Congo is about cobalt, it's about gold, it's about oil, petrol, or something like, or resources. The problem is start in a different way, in a different position. More you understand about slowly, because to have the information, you need to make some researches.
Mm-hmm.
Researches online, researches about people, researches about uh, many information you need. This is why I talk about parameters, because war is like many things. It depends of many parameters. So when you understand, for example, I give the example of war in your couple. We can use this word even in couple.
You mean like a conflict of some
Conflict,
sort?
exactly. Mm-hmm. Conflict is another word to talk about war.
Mm-hmm.
It's another word. So conflict is kind of war, but in a low level. In a low level, it's conflict. When the conflict become it goes in high level, it become war. It's like in French, I say graduation.
A gradation.
Exactly.
But it's the same energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's good for spiritual person to understand that all that we do in small level can has is high level. So it's like love, fear, and even depression, la dépression. You can feel the depression in a low level if you observe yourself or observe someone. There's sign. I call this sign algorithm, and it's some element you can check, like when you are a specialist and expert in a way, you can, like a doctor, you can see if someone has sickness, see a sickness, you can see some sign of someone who has something, and you can say, oh, this is the beginning of this kind of disease.
The symptoms that show
Exactly.
what's coming next.
War is like that. There's symptom. This is why professional in this kind of way, they can see and they can say, in few years, if you don't do the things correctly, they will have a fight between this country and this country because there's some kind of symptoms. So what I say to people, what I want to share with people is about how to recognize symptoms of disease, conflict before it become war. Not only to see war everywhere and say, oh, why? No, 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 no. This is already too late for a spiritual person to observe the war and say, oh, why? No, no, no. Spiritual person have to recognize the symptom of different type, kind of war, disease, conflict.
Something that you talk about with me a lot is understanding the principles, so then you can understand your life and you can change your life. And so it's like what I'm hearing you say is when people are looking out there at the war and getting upset about the war out there, which is like it's not that you shouldn't get upset about war, but it's just like don't only look at the war out there. Also see what are the principles that are causing this thing out there and how can I also recognize that in my own life so that I'm not going to let these symptoms continue to the point where I'm in my own war with my partner or my mother or something like this. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. And this is why in the Bwiti Missoko, in this practice of the spirituality, what I have seen inside is about the practice of the spirituality. When you think about things all the time, it's difficult for this thing to happen. You need to acting. When you're acting, you are inside the process. And when you do things time after time, you understand more about the first time. But when I was young, I used to read many books, and especially the dictionary. And at the end of the dictionary, French dictionary, there's a part of proverb, les citations. One of them is, it was la nécessité, non, la, la répétition. Voilà. La répétition est la mère des sciences.
The repetition is the mother of
Yes, science.
science.
In this position, in the position of someone who practices something all the time, it's become better and better and better, like someone who train on football, tennis, whatever. You become better when you practice things day after day. When you train, you become like a professional when you do it. When you do this kind of thing, you can understand because this is a practice. So you can understand how you can do it more in the best way day after day. Practice. This is about practice. And this is level of people who want to understand the practice and how he can recognize the symptom. This is about practice. But for me, this is when I was young, because for people who want to go deeper, there's a deeper level of these words. But we can talk about it later, of course. About training, practice. When you want to recognize symptom, it's good to understand how you feel the things, not how I can feel the thing, because this is my constitution. Constitution of each person, it's different. So the way I can feel the things can be different from your way. So it's good to know how you can understand the words. If you are in a culture, Asia culture, you are a little bit different from South American culture. But you need kind of, how to say, medium plan. This is why I talk about position, to understand if you are from South America or if you are from Asia or Africa. And this middle place is good to understand almost everything. And with, for example, in the tradition of Bwiti Missoko, when you did the initiation, there's a moment when you are yourself. Not only a Nganga. Nganga, you can become a Nganga. Okay, of course, this is when you want to become a Nganga. But at a moment, specific moment, you can be yourself, like in the middle. And you can see things like you are not America, you are not Russian, you are not French, you are not Gabonese. No. You are human in this earth, in this moment. And at this moment, if you are enough open, your mind is enough open, you can feel the things in a specific position. And in this position, it's not only during the initiation, even after the initiation, when you can receive some knowledge about this, even not only in Bwiti Missoko, even I don't know, wherever in the world, you don't need specifically Bwiti Missoko. Missoko is just an example. In many other traditions, you can understand what I'm talking about. So, a position of spiritual person, this is why I say, for me, I like to talk with people who are spiritual, but not fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
Not talk about, oh, Jesus is the best, Mahomet is the best, Bwiti is the best. No, I don't like this talk. For me, real spiritual, for me, maybe I'm wrong, but I like to discuss with people who are really not fanatic about their tradition or religion.
Mm-hmm.
So then we can talk about many things.
Mm-hmm.
So about your question about the symptom, when you know how you can feel the things, when you know position again, what is your position? Maybe you are handicapé.
Handicapped.
Yes. This position is special because your body is special.
Mm-hmm.
In a special situation, physics situation, you see things differently. If you talk with people who have an accident, they will tell you that there's a before and after the accident. Because physically, they were in a situation and now they are in another situation. So their mind, their spirit change position. So the symptom, when you know the position, you start to feel things from your situation, position, and then you start to, day after day, to recognize the symptom. And if you are interested by things like conflict, disease, or war, you will recognize slowly how you can, how to say, stop something, for example, in your couple or in your life. Sometimes when you are sick, if you have a sickness will come each years, like grippe, the flu.
Having the flu.
Yes, for example.
Yeah.
After many years, you can just be more sensible. Sensitive. And then you can recognize the first symptom. Because you have these things every year. This is a small example people can start with these things. It's good for people to have a simple example to try to do.
Yeah.
In the daily life, they can just try with these kind of things. And if they recognize the symptom of the flu, it means that also if they are focused, concentrate, they can recognize the symptoms in another direction of things. The principle is the same. But you need to practice the things like the flu. We practice because we have this thing every year, for example. So we practice this thing. Like in Africa, we have malaria. So it's easy for us most of the time to recognize the symptom of malaria at the first beginning.
Yes. Before it grows into something that can really harm you. And I think that's also kind of, well, because, for example, with the war that's happening between countries, it feels so big and so impossible to stop. Like it's so huge and so much money in it. And so like there's so many people involved. It's like, how do I have a positive impact on that? But when I hear you talking about this, it's like, okay, so already there is an energy of war happening out there, but there's also an energy of war happening inside your home, maybe even inside your own mind. And if you can start to notice the symptoms of it, that you can actually have a positive impact for yourself.
Okay. Yes, you use the words. I like the word, So, stuck. Almost. Most of the people are stuck sometimes in a position because their constitution or something like that. Even me, sometimes I'm stuck in a position and I need sometimes help to change my own position, to understand things differently. And if you don't have someone who can help you, it's difficult for people to understand because they can listen this podcast, for example, and maybe they don't know how to change the position and change their life. So then we all need help. Help is not only because we will die or something. No, help is also just people to talk with. It's kind of help. This is why I talk about the level of things. Help, there's a level of different kind of type of help. Sometimes we need help and sometimes we don't know that we need help, for example. And change the position inside someone, about someone who is stuck in his mind, because sometimes we are stuck in our mind, and if we don't get out of this position, it's like kind of jail sometimes. It will be difficult. Even we listen this kind of podcast, it will be difficult to change and to understand many things. So we need to understand the process to change your mind, change your position, before to try to make benefits or take a positive advantage of a situation, war or something like that. Because it's not only because you read a book, and then you say, oh, this book say this thing, so I will try. No, it's not like that. It's not working like, things never work like that. Things when I say never, it's not means never, never, never. Sometimes there's a special situation. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to change something, there's a process for anything. There's a process. So when you start the process, things will change. But if you say, "Oh, I want to change," yes, of course, it can be the beginning, but you need a method, or process. Things change, but because this is the principle of the world. The world works like that, by principle, by rules, by law, and all is related, and the relation between all the elements, it's a process. And to change part of or nature of the element, there's a process inside of us as outside of us is the same. If you want to have a positive impact of the world, this is another level of your question about your question. This is another level. It's good to understand things level by level. If you are in the good level, you understand the things, and then you can go to the next level. If not, you will try to go to the next level or the 5 or 6 level, but you don't understand that you are on the first floor. It's important for people to know the position, the situation, and then if they want to change it to have the positive impact, they have to be on the right position, the right floor, the right level. Then they can have an impact. And you can have an impact on your floor, on your level. For example, if there's a war, I'm in Gabon, for example, right now. If there's a war in Congo, it's not so far, but it's also far. So how can I have a positive impact in this war close to Gabon? I need to be in touch with people, and the people need to be in touch with some other people. It means process. Even if I want to take advantage of the situation, I need kind of plan, kind of many things to take an advantage of something. About what you said about impact, I want to say one thing about positive impact in life, in situation. All around the world, in the universe, all it's about energy. All it's about energy, vibration. We can use the energy in many, many different ways. Even the energy of war. There's a lot of person by the past who won or win by the past.
Who won? Yeah.
Won a lot of money with war because they know how to use the energy of war. There's people who can understand how to take advantage of a situation. But if you are in the situation of people saying, "Oh, why there's war?" Whoa, 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 whoa. For me, when I see this kind of person, I say, I understand them because they don't know, but it's good to understand what for me, for a spiritual person, for someone who understands life. Life is not good or yes, there's good in life, black and white, but it's about equilibrium. It's about equilibrium. Not only say, "Oh, this is not good." Yes, of course, I understand when people say, "Oh, when people die is not good." Yes, of course, it's not good, but it's life. This is what we teach in Bwiti Missoko. It's life. And when you understand it's life, after crying, you understand, okay, life is like that. Now you can try to understand how things work in the universe, of course, in life and death, of course. And in many situations, you from your level, from your position in your country, if it's possible, if you want, of course, to have a positive impact, it's good to know understand what you do in your life, in your daily life, what is your job, what is your capacity. And if you want to have a positive impact, start in this is the advice I can give to people. Start to do it in a low level, small level, like in your family, in your in your community, in your in a low portion of life. If you can do it, it means you can do it in a high level or biggest uh, environment. Don't try to do I want to save people in Congo. How you can do it? Alone? With your hands? People will kill you just after 5 seconds. Not easy. So try to understand how things work. For example, in your family, in your community, or in a, for example, if you are on YouTube, I can take an example, YouTube, Facebook. If you understand how to take advantage in a community on WhatsApp, YouTube, or whatever, then you can think about have a positive impact in something bigger, maybe. But if in a small portion of things or communities, society, is difficult for you, even in with your couple. Sometimes it's not related. I mean, what you have situation in your couple and what you can do out of your couple, but it's still a community. So, family is a community. Facebook, dans les réseaux sociaux, social network.
Social network, yeah.
Yes. If you are related with people, it's good to know how you can have an impact in things in your life, in a low level. If people want to have an impact about war, things like that, it's good for them to try to have an impact in their family, in the community, and in many, even in job, in their job, in the work, the place they work, somewhere they try to do it. If they can do it, it means it's possible to do it in the biggest situation. So when they start, they need, for me, people need to understand how they can do it. If they are good in something, somewhere, it's like their way. And it's good to have a way, I mean, a technique. If you are good in mechanic, if you are good in talking, if you are good to writing, if you are good to draw, drive, anything, you need something you are good in this thing. If you are good in a way, you can start by this. It's important to have the beginning of something. When you are good in these things, you can build your life in this thing. And after you can change, you can do many things after. But you need a point of beginning. When you have it, when you understand it, that you are good in these things, you can build your life in this. And then thinking to have a positive impact.
Okay. Good conversation. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to share before we close this about, how we relate with ourselves, how we relate with the outside world? Anything else you want to share before we close?
Yes, just share about what is, after many years and from the beginning, I mean, when I was young, I felt this thing inside of me. De l'empathie, in French, c'est empathie.
Empathy.
Yes. When I see someone who sad, it touch me. I when I was young, I wonder why it touch me. Why these people is like poor or things like that. I have something in my heart. I say, wow, why I have this sensation? And if someone, when people are happy, I'm happy when people are happy. Really happy. Yes, really. And people, when we try, all of us, to do things, it's good to understand how we feel the things around us. We are all different, and all that we see all around the world is, of course, depend of many parameters. The most important parameters element in the universe is yourself. It's the most important person element. Even if you want to help people, it's good to understand yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really important for me. And with the spirituality, through the spirituality, I understand my family. I understand the tribe, because in Africa the tribe is important. I understand even out of Gabon, out of Africa, I can understand a part of the situation of the world. And I hope that people, if we can talk with people who are see things as I see, we can talk about this thing, because now we just talk like a chat between you and me. But I hope that we can discuss about it, and if we want to, we want not only you, because you maybe you want to have a positive impact and on many things, and I hope that you will find people like you who can help you to do it, because there's a movie with Hugh Grant. I mean, Nul homme n'est une île. Nobody is an island. And I don't know if the title in English, but in French is
Nobody is an island.
Yes. And you understand that alone is difficult to do things. You need people with you.
True. Yeah, and that's true even like from the really big scale things, but even the small scale things, you still need people.
Yes, of course. And in this movie, it was about someone who wants to be alone all the time. And then a young boy came in his life and changed his whole life. Just one boy came in his life and all his life changed. So yes, it's in a small scale, and yeah, and of course we can understand that in scale of this guy in this situation, things can change all around in the world and have an impact. This boy has an impact in the life of this man, this character, and the thing person can have an impact in our life. And if you find the person who can have positive impact, it means for me, you can do things for many other people, many and many and many, and then you can live your life for me, when you find people like me, when I find you and other people like you, I'm so happy. I can tell you for sure, I'm really happy to have this kind of discussion. I didn't expect to have a kind of moment like that, and I hope that they will have more moments like that to talk with more people about these kind of things.
Well, thank you so much, Apollon. It's been so good, as always, to talk with you. And for anyone listening, if you do want to continue and follow Apollon or learn more about the Bwiti Missoko tradition and African plant medicine, you can find out more at bwitiinitiations.com. And yeah, thank you again. It was awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you too.
You've been listening to the Spiritual Sexual Shamanic podcast, produced by the International School of Temple Arts. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us reach more listeners like you. To learn more about our retreats, workshops, and festivals, or to connect with one of our teachers, visit our website, ista.life.